Hi, I'm Louise from The Whole Dog.
And I'm Louise from Wandering with Dogs.
In this episode, we talk about why we chose the dogs that we did, how that's impacted our lives with them, and how we can navigate their uniqueness when, as humans, we encounter things that we didn't expect to on our journey together. We certainly had fun recording it, and we hope you enjoy it.
So you've got Luna, who's a border collie.
Yep.
Why did you bring Luna home?
Breed-wise, I like the energy of a border collie. My dog trainer journey had just kind of started at that point, and I wanted a breed that was going to be able to potentially grow with me as my skills got better. And I was hoping to be doing stuff that I felt would really fulfill a breed like a border collie.
So what was it? Sorry, what was it about that breed, and what was it? How she looked? Was it her genetics, her traits that you wanted to work with?
So this is a bit of an interesting question because I thought I understood the breed. I really did. If someone said to me, this is a border collie, I was like, yeah, sound great. I love that. However, I probably didn't truly understand her as a breed. In terms of why I gravitated towards Luna, I'm a sucker for a Merle. What can I say?
Okay.
I've always loved the look of Merles. Not that there's anything wrong with the other colours of border collies. I love every single one of them. As you know, massive fan of the breed, work with them often in my professional life. But she just stood out to me the moment I saw that advert. It was just like literally love at first sight. I was like, that one. And just something in my gut was like, that one.
So did you have that response when you saw pictures or videos of it, or when you went to see the litter?
So this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
And it's probably shaped the entire journey. So I fell in love with her with the pictures and the videos that I got sent by her breeder. She was from a farm in Cornwall, so cue long, long drive
Wow.
from
That's a
southwest
trek.
Scotland to Cornwall,
Mm-hmm.
much to my partner's dismay, but we managed to sort of ease that by picking up a motorbike along the way.
All right.
Yeah, compromise, all that sort of stuff. Did work. um, I didn't ask to see any other puppy video wise.
Oh,
I didn't.
right. There
There was
was just
maybe, I
something.
can't remember, maybe like 8 or 9 in her litter. Can't remember now, it was that long ago. There was a mixture of blue Merrows, which she is, tri-Merrows, which is the blue with the tan. There was a couple of black and whites. But I don't know. There was just a something. And I was like, it's that one. So long drive to Cornwall, picked up the motorbike, and then went to collect Luna. So there's a few things I did wrong here. I don't know if we want to go into that. There's things that I look back on it now and I'm like, ugh. We can maybe touch on that in a different episode potentially because that's a story in itself.
Yeah.
All the litter were there. Mum was there. Dad was there. Dad is a Huntaway. She's not actually full border collie, so her dad is a New Zealand Huntaway. Not many people know what they are, but they're another breed of livestock movers, but they are drovers as opposed to herders. But when I met Luna, I was like, oh no, that's the scared one. She was
Oh,
hiding. So
oh,
I had
shit.
all these puppies all over me, like, oh my goodness, there's somebody here. And she was at the back.
Okay.
And I suppose at that point I had choices, but I was like, no, you're still like I still felt that
Mm-hmm.
draw towards her. Which in hindsight, sometimes I'm like, for God's sake, that was stupid. Um, but
We'll
there's
go
more
with what you knew
more
at the
to that.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it just felt like the right breed and she felt like the right dog. Obviously, we're nearly 7 years into that journey now, and I fully understand why she was the right dog.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
it was like one of those situations that all the parts fell into place for a reason,
Yeah.
basically. What about Casper? What was your process to
So
getting there?
we'd always had spaniels. You know, when I
Mm.
was living at home with my mum and dad, we'd always had spaniels, not cockers. And his breeder, I knew his breeder,
Okay.
and we'd we'd had a bit of time without a dog at home. Um, and my daughter was about 5, and I don't know where it came from, but she developed this fear, this uh I don't know how to describe it. It was horrific. If she saw a dog when she was out and about, I mean, the dog could be,
Mhm.
you know, a good 50, 100 meters away, and she would be rooted to the spot. She would be petrified.
Right.
So I'd been hankering after a dog and kind of thought, ah, I don't want her to grow up in fear of dogs. Um, we'll get a puppy because then it'll grow with Evie. She'll not be scared of the dog, and then it'll help her overcome that fear. Um, I just, um, I just loved spaniels because they're cute, aren't they?
They are. They are
You
adorable.
know, long floppy ears, domed head, fluffy, waggly, just
Mhm.
yeah. Um, and the breeder, so they'd had this litter of pups, and I saw them in not Casper's litter, another litter, in the back of their truck. And I was like, oh, they're really cute, and just had a conversation with the breeder, and she was saying, you know, that he's a show cocker as opposed to a working cocker, and show cockers are kind of more suited to family life. They're not as demanding, for want of a better word. Then working cockers don't need as much putting into them. So size was perfect. And yeah, so that's how Casper came into our home.
And what has progressed from there from both of us. It's funny, isn't it? We both got dogs for very different reasons
Mm.
within ourselves at that moment in our life.
Mm.
And it's funny the different processes our brains go through and that choice of breed, of timing, of why we would like a dog in our life.
Mm. I think that is a massive question just in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Why? Why? And for anybody listening to this, just sit with that for a few minutes and just ask yourselves that question. Why did you bring a dog into your family?
Yeah. I ask people that often.
Mm.
Um, and the answer's never always the same. Like it's so varied. So varied. Like I actually didn't know that's why you brought Casper home. That was really interesting.
Mm.
I didn't know that. Um,
It worked, by
especially
the way.
couldn't tell that with Evie now.
It worked.
Little
It
budding
worked.
dog trainer. Would never have known she had a fear of dogs. Ever
Yeah,
in a million years.
petrified. She was petrified.
And it's funny when
Yeah.
I brought Luna into my life, kids were not on the table for me at that
Mm.
stage of my life. I'd not long came home from traveling, didn't quite know what the future held, but not even looking at that sort of future, there was definitely a dog-shaped hole
Mm.
in my life at that point. I was kind of at the stage I'm like, I don't care what the rest of my life is going to look like, but this is important to me. It's funny.
Mm.
But I think
So,
it's something we've been talking about a lot is the human expectation of how that life is going to look, what you're going to do together, hopes and dreams of the future, the things you're going to teach them, the places you're going to take them. I think no matter why you brought the dog home, that part is always there. It might be different for everybody, but we have an idea in our mind already of what we want the future to be like for us, for them. But I think the difficulty comes when that doesn't materialize that way. Hi, I'm Louise from The Whole Dog.
and I'm Louise from Wandering with Dogs.
We certainly had fun recording it, and we hope you enjoy it.
So when Casper came home, I knew nothing about training. I made so many mistakes. It was untrue.
Yeah.
But I had an idea of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do. I wanted to take him on walks. I wanted to go along the beach with him. I wanted him to make friends with other dogs. I
Mm,
wanted him to have friends with other dogs. Um, but that's
yeah.
quite. I don't know as many people go into dog ownership, bringing a puppy, an adult dog home, and don't consider things from their point of view. Do you
I
know, like
did, I
what they
didn't.
want from that?
Mm.
Did you what did you think about Luna then? Was it about what you wanted to do with her?
Yes and no. I think it's very different from how I would think about it again.
Yes. Yeah. But at that point when you didn't know, well, at that point where because you'd started your training journey then, I hadn't at that point. So thinking back then, how did you think a dog would fit into your life?
Like you with Casper, there was things that I wanted to do with her. I wanted to take her down the beach. I wanted to take her everywhere with me. I
Mm,
wanted it to be that literally she was with me wherever I went was the ideal for me. Um, I had some kind of thoughts of maybe doing some agility, some obedience, getting into some sort of sport or something together. Border collies are incredibly smart, sometimes to their own detriment.
mm,
Um, and being involved in just even on the outskirts of the dog world, you see border collies kind of slotting into a lot of different avenues. So I think in my mind, I wanted a dog I could do stuff with and that would want to do stuff with me.
mm,
Um, the things that maybe I wanted in my mind for her to do were definitely more from my perspective than hers at that point. But at that point, we're bringing home squishy brand new puppies. We don't actually know them yet. Um, you know, at that point, the future is completely unwritten. We've only got that little moment of meeting them and bringing them home, getting to know each other. But, I think having hopes and dreams when you bring home a puppy is important. I think you should be allowed to dream and to have those aspirations of things that you want to do together. Because I think that's a good thing. That shows
Oh
that
yeah.
you
Yeah,
want
because
to fulfill your dog's life and your life
yeah,
together.
yeah. But like without those, then what's the
What's the point?
point?
Yeah.
Mm,
Um, the problem, however, that I see a lot as a trainer, that's how I spend the majority of my daily life with people bringing home puppies. Um, that side of our business is more Kira's domain now. Um, I am, however, more involved with the adolescents, the young adults. And that's where relationship breakdown is
Mm.
probably more prevalent. Don't get me wrong, I've seen plenty of puppy blues, humans, puppies, not long came home and things are not feeling like the Disney movie that they hoped it was going to be. The puppy's really distressed at night time. There's peas and poos everywhere all over the house. Like it's a stressful time in both parts of the journey and age range. It brings its own things.
Mm.
Um, but I think for me with Luna, I'll openly say that I've grieved dreams. I've grieved dreams that have never came true. I
Mm.
have. Um, and it's a hard thing to do, to realize that there's
That,
stuff there that isn't what you expected to be there.
yeah. And then that, I know for me with Casper, that then kind of, I think there was probably a period of not realizing that there were problems,
Mhm.
not being aware that there were problems. Um, he'd started to be reactive towards other dogs, which kind of cut those dreams short, I think.
Mm.
But that whole like looking at what was happening and seeing, hang on, there is a problem here. Um,
What made
that's
you
a
think it
hard
was a
one, isn't it?
problem? Was it a problem because it was limiting what you could do with him that you wanted to do, or was it a problem because you saw him struggling?
It was very much again going back to I knew nothing at this stage. I very much saw it a problem with him because his behaviour was limiting what I could do with him and where I
How
could
did,
go.
how did that make you feel then?
Incredibly frustrated and cross, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
Um, and looking back now, I didn't understand what was going on for him. I didn't have a clue what was going on. All I saw was he'd been attacked by a dog
Mhm.
on the same dog on two separate occasions. Um, and I just kind of thought, well, that's playing into how he is, and that's it. There's nothing I can do about that. But that whole, you know, go, going from a puppy who is a clean slate. If anybody tells you that puppies are clean slates, they are lying.
Yeah, we can
But
dive deeper into that someday.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in my head, that had affected him, and that had like my, where we could go had been impacted.
Did that upset you because that clean slate had been, what, for
Tarnished.
want of a better word, yeah, tarnished,
Yeah,
damaged.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
now
yeah,
quote unquote broken.
yeah, yeah.
Did you see him differently as those shifts happened?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did. I kind of I thought very much, very selfishly, that he was the problem. That he was causing the problem. Why couldn't he just be um, a normal dog?
Yeah.
And we can
Get
go to
over
the park.
it. Just get over
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
get over
Go to
it.
the park and throw a ball for him, or let him run and sniff and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a hard thing to go through, and we both went through a similar thing, although in a different way. Like you, when Luna started showing quote unquote reactive tendencies, um, it scared me. I didn't expect it. It totally took me by surprise. And like I say, I was very much maybe like a year in to learning about teaching dogs and working with dogs and humans. So, complete inexperience at that point. I knew bits, but I definitely didn't know enough at that point.
Mm.
And I think looking back for me, that makes me sad because would it have been different if I knew more? Those situations that played into her maybe feeling that she had to react the way that she was. There was a few, like you, a few incidents where clambered all over by big dogs, didn't like it. She is more on the pessimistic side, shall we say, Luna. She's definitely a glass half empty a lot of
Mm.
the time. Um, but if that had not happened, would things have ended up the way that they have? But there's also the part of me that's like, well, I'm glad it ended up the way that it did because I've learned so much and I
Yeah.
know heart inside out, upside down. Sometimes that's a problem in itself, as we well know. But looking back on it, you're just like, what happened? And I get that so much. We work with reactivity. We're going to talk about labels at some point, but just to keep it easy right now, we work with reactivity a lot. And what I find when I meet people who are struggling with dogs that are, doesn't matter the emotion behind it, whether it's frustration, fear, overwhelm, whatever's going on for that dog, they try and justify it to me. They try and tell me a story
Mhm.
about this happened and that happened and he's not a bad dog and I get it.
Mhm.
Like I get that story, but I think as humans, we need to find some way of making it make sense in our own head.
Mm. And I think a big part of that, going back to how I was feeling, I felt responsible, I think.
Hmm.
And I felt um, I didn't want to admit that there was a problem because that reflected badly on me.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, was that because of the perception of you and your dog now to the wider world?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And why did I have the broken dog? Why did I have the dog that couldn't just walk down the street normally when I saw so many other dogs just walking along nicely by their human side?
It's bloody hard, isn't it? Watching that.
Oh,
When you're
yeah,
going through
yeah,
that stuff with your dog and
yeah.
say you're just casually out and about doing your own things and a dog and a person captures your attention and you just feel for that moment jealous,
Yeah.
envious.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
okay to feel that way. I think that's, we're humans at the end of the day. We are going to feel big feelings just as much as our dogs do sometimes, just in a
I
different way.
I watched the no, I watched something quite some time ago about emotions
Mhm.
and not wanting to go too in depth on it. The person I was watching said there are no negative emotions; they are just emotions. And I think when you start to look at things in that way, so jealousy, rage, happiness, they're all emotions. And if because I think when we start to look at things negatively, that's when we kind of want to shut it off and kind of like, no, I don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah,
But becoming aware of it and acknowledging it are steps that I think you have to take
yeah,
in
yeah.
order to fix whatever problem that you perceive you've got.
If you're not acknowledging the emotion and what's underneath it, you're not going to be able to move through it
Hmm. No.
and get to the other side of it. Definitely not. And I think I remember like we both went to a dog training retreat. You know the one I'm talking about. And we both had the quirky dogs with us. And it was
The pennies just dropped as to what you're on
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was lovely
give the
because we met
awkward
up
seat
with
shift.
yeah, yeah, we met up with colleagues and we met up with people that we'd never met in person. And I
Mm.
remember the first time I met Louise Jessup, the door opened on the left and I had the reactive border collie and she had the reactive cocker spaniel and we were face to face with each other in the middle of a hotel. weren't we? We're like,
Great.
oh no, hi, let's navigate this and get out of here quickly. Um, but I remember that it always sticks out in my mind, that particular retreat. Because at that point for Luna, the reactivity was still quite early stages. She wasn't needing the level of management at periods of her life that she has done.
Mm.
But yeah, we had an incident. Oh no, it wasn't actually that retreat that we had the incident. That's a lie. Um, but it wasn't much further on from that one. And I remember watching dogs of colleagues that we had with us,
Mm.
and they were doing all this fun stuff with their dogs.
Mm.
And I'm having to time when I went out the door, where I took her to the toilet,
Mm.
where she was left, and you were doing the same because I could see it. We didn't know each other that well at this point. But there was almost like a little bit of solidarity between us because we were managing the two complex dogs out of all the other dogs that were there.
Mm.
There was not many others that had considerations, I don't think, not off the top of my head anyway.
Or if there was, there might have
We
been,
didn't
but
see it.
we didn't see it. We didn't see it. It there were no obvious signs.
No. I felt
However,
like that
we
amplified it because we were like
mm,
in this little bubble of dogs and people, and
mm,
it was dogs and people all day. Yes, the dogs had break times and we had break times, but it was a lot. And I almost think it's like when humans go for a walk down the beach and their dog's struggling, you're kind of stuck because you've got all those eyes on you in that moment, which can make it feel a million times worse because you feel like the only one that's going through this because you see the other dog just toddling about, like gazing up at their owner, like, oh my goodness, I love you, this is the best day ever, and you're like firefighting
mm,
in the other corner.
mm. It's not a nice place to be, is it?
It's not fun, no. But I think there's two ways to look at it. You can either get upset about where you are
Mm.
and where you've ended up, which we both felt with our
Mhm.
dogs.
And that's valid. I think you do have to
Mm,
go through that. I
yes.
don't think that's not important.
No, it's definitely part of the journey because if
Mm.
that's I always believe the dogs that we need come into our life when we need them.
Mm.
And I fully believe that with Luna because I've been through so many things with her that I don't think I would truly understand the way that I do if it hadn't played out the way that it did. But again, that kind of comes down to choosing our next move because we've always got choices. I could have just stayed in the world of walking early in the morning, late at night, not dealing with the stuff, pretending there isn't a problem. This is just the way it is. That's Luna, that's just who she is. Or learn about it and help her. Because in turn, helping her helped me and helped me and her as a team. And I know it's pretty similar for you and Casper as well. I know we ended up on a dog trainer journey, which not everybody's going to end up on, and that's fine. If that is something you're interested in, it will take you on a journey.
Oh
That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
But there's
yeah.
always choices around it. You've kind of got to fight for it a bit though sometimes.
Yeah. And I think until you've gone through that, kind of as you said at the start, grieving,
Mhm.
grieving for those expectations, and actually realizing that perhaps the dog that you have, for whatever reason you chose that breed, that individual, um, doesn't perhaps fit with what you wanted.
Yep.
Um, then you're at that point of kind of, right, what can you do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not an easy process to go through because there's all these external factors. There's family's opinions, there's strangers'
Mm,
opinions,
mm,
there's 40 million gazillion billion Facebook groups with all the advice known to man.
Mm.
There's which trainer do I choose? Is it this? What's this training methodology? What does that mean? How's that going to make my dog feel? What are all these things? Which is not an easy place to be
No,
either. At
no,
that point of, right, I've recognized there's a thing going on. Now I want to kind of take some action towards making it better, making my dog feel better, working towards those potential goals of the future. But then I think there's times sometimes that the dreams that we had when the journey started are just never going to align with who our dog is or circumstances. Like Luna, we now know has pain issues. She's not going to be an agility dog,
Mm.
and that's fine. So I could either be pissed off about that, or I could find stuff that we love doing together, which we found.
Yeah. Like I wanted to take Casper to cafes, dog-friendly pubs, that sort of thing. That's, again, that's very much a me want. Um, that would be his worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, isn't it?
It is a balance. And it's not like we're not trying to like poop on your dreams here and sound like the negative Nancy's over in the corner here going, you can't have mum here, dog. Um it's just realizing that there's no set way that things are gonna be.
Mm.
And it's okay to have expectations because, you know, we bring a dog. There's not many people that I've met that have brought a dog home because they don't want to have fun with them. Thankfully, that's a very small minority of people that I've ever met in the latter category of going, why have we even got this dog? I don't want it. But it's kind of being able to go with the flow.
Yes.
Life's not linear for humans.
No.
It's definitely not going to be linear for dogs. Definitely not. And Disney's got a lot to answer for, you know,
Cool.
so
Yeah.
much to answer for.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love a good Disney movie, but and that's just other areas of life as well, not just life with dogs, but
Mm.
we do grow up and we watch these things and we end up with a certain level of expectation. Look at Border Collies, like Lassie, like Luna's not going to be going saving anybody farewell anytime soon. She'll be like, nah, I'm good, thanks. No ta. That
You
person
crack
looks
on there.
suspicious. Yeah, back then I don't want anything to do with that. But I think it's about celebrating the uniqueness of the dog that you have,
Yes.
not
And
putting them
that,
into a box of what they should be.
yeah.
We don't like getting put in boxes as humans. We absolutely hate that. But we do it to them all the
Imagine, imagine if so thinking back again to Casper and Luna, imagine if what we did to them was done to us. The
Oh,
thoughts that we had about them, it's just not right, is it?
no, no. But I think it depends on who you are as a person. Like,
Mm.
do you want to look deeper at this stuff or do you not? Like, no one can make you do that. Like, I've spoken to many humans over the years, and one of my favorite moments, especially when it's someone that's struggling and a dog that's maybe struggling with whatever big feelings or even, basic sort of life skills because there's something external that's stopping them from getting what they need, is when you just see their faces soften and they start to think and you can see them going, oh, this makes so much sense. I get
Mm.
it.
Mm.
But then on the other side of that, I could say exactly the same thing to one person and they have that response of taking it in and thinking about it and they come back and they ask questions and they research more and they read things and then there's the other side of it and people are just like, nah, nah, not interested.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's also fine, that's okay.
But that
Um,
again, that goes back to admitting what you're feeling, what your thoughts are, where you actually are,
mhm,
isn't it?
yeah. And a lot of it's about who we are as a person. Of course, the breed that we've chosen is going to impact that, which is something we're definitely going to explore more deeper, because that sort of stuff is always going to bring something to the table.
Absolutely.
Like I said at the beginning, I thought I knew border collies. I was wrong. I will happily put my hands up and say, yeah, got that wrong. Um, but it's really looking at the whole picture, and I say that a lot because it's true. It's everything that everybody brings to the table, what the dogs bring to the table, what we bring to the table is going to impact the end result. Always, it can't not.
No. It's a relationship at the end of the day, isn't it?
Mhm.
And
Whose relationships are straightforward all the time. Nobody's. And if they are, I'm suspicious. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do
yeah.
you never have a fight or fall out or have a disagreement or difference of opinion? Because that's not right. Good on yous if you do. But
We would like
not
to know
just
your
dogs.
secret.
Exactly. But dogs are no different. Like you say, it's a relationship, it's a partnership, it's fluid, it's not rigid in one way forever. It's going to change. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And even as
So,
professionals, we can sit here and be like, we felt overwhelmed. I still do sometimes. Like Luna or Blue will throw something at me, and I'm like, I need a minute to try and figure that out.
yeah, because we're not perfect.
No, and
We
our dogs
don't
aren't.
have all the answers all of the time, just like our dogs.
But I think that's where instead of getting frustrated or overwhelmed, is to try and take a bit of a step back, almost like
Mhm.
take yourself out of your own brain and just look at things the way they are in a bit more of a factual way as opposed to the emotions. People always say to me, how is my dog not reacting because they're with you? I'm like, because I don't have the same view on this situation as you do. Not that I don't care about your dog, but I don't have that same level of emotional connection. I don't have the same previous experiences that you've had with your dog. So if you can try and kind of take a step back from it, it's like that old saying, you can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
And that's
But
why I've went to other professionals with Luna, because I'm like, I need help. Hello. I
how many
can't see
times
wood
have
for the
we had a
wall.
conversation? You've been talking about Luna and or Blue, and
Hmm.
and I can say things that kind of have you go, oh, and vice versa,
Yeah.
because we
We're not.
haven't got that emotional attachment to it, and we can see it a lot clearer.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's like when you go on the Facebook groups that offer advice, and there's lots of very good ones, and there's some really nice advice.
Mm.
But sometimes people seek help in maybe the not most appropriate of places.
Mm.
Because when we go on groups like that, we're asking advice from people that are also potentially struggling with the same thing, and they're just trying stuff. And um, had a conversation lately with a student or a future student, and my goodness, had she gotten herself in a tizzy?
Oh,
Wow,
really?
wow, just
What, just by the level of different opinions and
yeah,
conflict and advice?
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Where'd
not
you go with
knowing where
that?
to go,
Mm.
not knowing who to ask, not knowing what approach is right, trying so many things to try and help her dog,
Mm.
but then just went round and round and round and round in circles. And I can fully admit I've been there myself, and you can recognize that in other people because I have lived it, you've lived it, trying
Yeah.
stuff didn't work. Well, dog's definitely broken now. Did I do it? Was it my fault? Did I break the dog?
Mm.
There's all that stuff that
Yeah.
plays into that
And I think
expectation.
I think on that kind of note, whatever is going on with your dog, it's not a reflection on you and what you have done, what you have tried, what there's so many different moving parts to it.
It feels it though. It feels like,
It does. It does. Yeah, yeah, it does.
and it's hard to move through that and realize that it's not a blame game
No,
on us or them.
no,
It's not helpful.
no. So that's one side of the relationship, the human side,
Yes.
primarily. We're going to talk about the dog side in our next episode.
Part two. Otherwise, we'd be here all day. We
Yeah,
really would be.
yeah,
We'd be going on and on and
yeah,
on and on and on.
yeah, and people will be falling asleep, I think.
Yeah. So I definitely think breaking it down's easier. I guess one of my top tips just to finish off if we are struggling with something that our dog's doing is just don't do it just now. Don't do it. Because if you do the thing, whatever the thing is, your dog can't cope, you can't cope. It is a recipe for disaster.
Disaster, yes. A
You
world of
might not have all the
frustration.
answers. Sorry.
Mm. It is, isn't it? A world of frustration on both sides, both for your
Yeah.
dog and yourself.
Yeah.
So find an
Um,
alternative.
doesn't mean it needs to be forever, but it
No,
just gives you a
no,
better respite from the problem, a bit of breathing space to kind of reconnect with your dog and just breathe a bit. I see people a lot forcing themselves to continually do the thing that's causing them stress, um, for various different reasons. But if there's
you,
something going on, just stop
yeah,
for a bit.
you have our full permission to not do it. So if
Yeah.
that's going out for a walk because you can only do street walks and you're forever turning around a corner and seeing another dog and your dog's lunging and all the rest of it, don't do it. There
Yeah.
are a multitude of alternatives that you can do at home. Find one of those.
Yeah. Yep, definitely, because it's just a repeating cycle of stress and nobody's loving it. So
No.
yeah, full permission.
Yeah.
And we will see you for part two on the dog bit. I'm excited for this bit.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll get some light bulb moments and aha, like we've had over our lives
Oh,
with our
yes, absolutely.
and the okay, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, just take a step back and we'll see you for the next one.
Okay.
Perfect. I shall speak to you later.
See you later.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pondering About Dogs. Tune in next Monday for a brand new episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.